Hi folks, Mark here, Views from Mark. I hope wherever you are in the world that you're keeping safe, healthy and are well. And in today's video, I'm joined by a very special guest to talk all things Bond brands, sartorial aspects, and just Bond in general. It's a great discussion piece and I hope you enjoy it. So folks, as you can see, I've got a very special guest on the channel joining me today, the one, the only Mr. Luke Taggart from Bond's Apartment. Welcome, Luke.
Thanks, man. Glad I can finally join the show. Big
That's
fan of
great.
yours, you know that.
Oh, you're too kind. Likewise. I mean, for anyone who doesn't know who you are, and if there is anyone who doesn't know who you are, what are they doing with their lives? But just give us a thumbnail view of who you are, what you do, your channels, your podcasts, all these different platforms that you're on.
Yeah. So I've got Instagram and YouTube. It's called Bond's Apartment. It's not like an interior decorating thing, as most people tend to think it is. Well, at least at the beginning. It's kind of just like an all-encompassing look, but it has kind of taken a very sartorial kind of path. And then, yeah, I do a podcast called Blunt Instruments with Lorenzo from Omega Bond Watches. And that is exactly that. It's just two blunt instruments talking about Bond and everything surrounding Bond in a very blunt and unfiltered way. And no, that is also not about marijuana. So my page isn't about interior decorating and my podcast isn't about marijuana. The two things that continue to haunt me every day.
Fair enough. Well, I mean, they're great pages, and
Thank you.
you also have your own YouTube channel,
Yeah.
and you've done similar to myself. Kind of, I think neither of us started our channels necessarily, and correct me if I'm wrong, but kind of necessarily knowing which direction they were going to go down. But we've both, I think, kind of started to go down this sartorial aspect a lot more. And you've done some great videos, like the reviews that you've done for some of the Oliver Brown pieces, for the I loved the No Time to Die MPL commando sweater, the 5 different looks that you did for that, some ideas in there that I just hadn't thought about, but we'll come to that sweater a bit later on. So I thought, seeing as having you on as a guest on the channel, we'll talk about kind of the Bond brands, the looks, how we both kind of started down this rabbit hole of, spending lots of money on some of these fine items. But what was it for you that kind of drew you into, like, I say the Bond lifestyle, but the whole kind of aesthetic, the clothing, the shoes, the watches, etc.?
So I started it at a really young age because of GoldenEye, the video game. As I'm finding out, more and more people seem to have gone down that path. But that I kind of fell in love with the character, and then this exact watch, and then hell yeah, and then from there it was just, I don't know, like, I think there's half that, and then half, I think the profession my father was in, he was a machine tool salesman, and he did very well, but he traveled a lot. And therefore, if he was ever in, I mean, my mother is a huge film buff, but so are my grandparents, especially my grandmother. So if they were ever traveling together, if he went somewhere like London or Germany or something, he would bring my mom, because those are cool places to see. So then I'd be at my grandparents, and then as like a 6-7-year-old, I'd be watching like movies from the 50s and the 60s, and wow. I'm 7-8, it's like 97, 98, 99. So I think it was kind of like the two, and then as I got older, realizing that it wasn't just Brosnan, and there was all these older films, and most people my age would never go back and watch something like that. Like a 10-year-old wouldn't watch something from the 60s, where I did. Yeah. So I think it was like, and of course, like the 90s style was so bad. And then seeing like the 60s style and being like, wow, like that's how I would dress. Yeah. I think that's all where it came from.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as you say, that 60s style, I've just been going through seeing some of the original, you know, in chronological order. They're showing at the moment as part of this 60th
Mhm.
celebration. But seeing the styles in those films, like the way that the guys back then wore suits, like it really was like Mad Men, you know, that whole genre with the thin ties, really nice fitting suits. But it's, as you say, that 90s style that that was kind of introduced with the Brosnan era. And I think you're going to do a magic trick now. Wow, that's amazing. That is amazing.
Yeah, you called it before we started, just like the dungeon in Florida where I did that live with David, just
Yeah.
hand delivered. I was trying to make this because it's obviously very early here in Michigan. I was
Yes.
trying to make this before we started and it just wasn't working. So now I've got my coffee. Now my answers will be a little better.
Oh, your answers are great. Your answers are great. But
Thank you. Thank you.
yeah, that whole 90s style. I mean, it's funny. One of the topics I was going to kind of get your view on was how, certainly within the Bond films, the style and even just the general clothing that's worn in the Bond films changed so much with the introduction of Daniel Craig in Casino Royale. Like
Right.
everything that I can think of really before that. So all the Pierce Brosnan films, it was always the Brioni suits,
Yep.
maybe a commando outfit. But there was no casual wear in those films. You know, you didn't really see, other than Die Another Day in Cuba, but we won't touch
Mhm.
that.
Yeah.
There wasn't really many occasions where we saw Bond dressed more casually. So in a polo or
Right.
a Henley, or, you know, all these different kind of more casual looks that came in with the Daniel Craig era. So I suppose my question is, did that make this whole kind of lifestyle and the sartorial elements more accessible, do you think, when Daniel Craig kind of came in with his tenure?
Oh yeah, absolutely. 1,000,000%. And it is funny too, because I'm sure a website that you and I both frequent, the James Bond lifestyle website, Remert's website, it's like when you go to No Time to Die, it's like pages and pages of sartorial things. And then if you go to like Tomorrow Never Dies, it's like a page, you know, and it's
Yeah,
more so the cigars or the alcohol or the cars or the gadgets. It's not as much the sartorial stuff. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, one of the ones that always stands out to me is the Tomorrow Never Dies, the leather jacket from the beginning of the film.
yes,
And
yeah.
that was like custom made for the film. It's not something you can go and buy. Or even the Tommy, or I shouldn't say Tommy Bahama, the Tommy Bahama-esque short sleeve Hawaiian shirt from Die Another Day. That is also something that's just not out. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
they didn't really kind of do what they're doing now, where you can basically buy everything.
Yeah. Well, I suppose as well, it's a kind of a sign of the times where kind of the internet changed in the 2000s, and you know, it was a lot more I don't know, possible to research these items of clothing and build up, as you say, the pages and pages and
Right.
pages of detail that's on James Bond lifestyle is just incredible, and it's such a great
Mhm.
resource to have, especially I think really since Casino onwards. As you say, there's just a wealth of information about these different items that are out there, and it's great. One that is on my list to get at some point, one that I know that you've got, is the Sunspell Riviera
Oh
Polo
man,
from
I
Casino.
can't believe you don't have it. Can't believe you can just walk down the street and get it, can't you?
Yeah, yeah, not far off. Yeah, I could wheel down to Sunspell in Soho.
Oh my God.
I've been into their store. Um, it wasn't until fairly recent. I'm ashamed to say it wasn't until fairly recently that I found out what brand of polo it was.
Okay.
And then to find out that they're still selling it even to this day, you know, that was
Yeah.
what, 2006,
Hmm.
is incredible. But again, you did a great job kind of showing that polo off and its details
Thank you.
and everything in your own channel.
Yeah.
But what was the first sartorial piece that you managed to get your hands on, you know,
I think it was
once you
that.
dipped your toe? Oh, was it really?
Yeah. So my biggest regret, and it's not just from a sartorial aspect, and I did just lie to you too, technically. Well, the first sartorial piece was actually the Spectre Dior jacket, but that's from Royale Filmware. So that's true and not true because it's not, an authentic piece, but it's close. But
Right.
yeah, so the first actual piece was a Sunspell polo. And the thing about that is, the reason I did the review on that, and, this is something I talked with David about because, of course, David had done that review 15 years ago or whatever, it was when I did it, it wasn't so much to review it. It was more so you need this. And here's why,
Yeah.
because 90, even the polos he's wearing towards the end of his tenure, all Tom Ford, $800-900 US, polos. This is like 150 US, and sometimes
Yeah.
it's on sale for like 90. So for less than $100, you can get one of the most iconic pieces he wears. And it was like the beginning of, the real sartorial, I think, like explosion, because Casino Royale still isn't the most sartorial collector friendly film. There's a lot, like the Armani jacket is incredibly hard to find. The tan suit he wears, it's Brioni, but it's like you can't just like, I know somebody like Kyle Barbeau, one of his Bond suits he went and bought like at Bloomingdale's or something. It was just happened to be there.
Yeah.
Like I can't go in any store in Michigan unless it's Omega and just buy, or something Tom Ford maybe, but to just see a Bond item just like on the rack in his
Yeah.
size, which I think is why he bought it, because it was just kind of like fate. But that is the first one I got because it's for something that old, it's 15 years old and it's still around and it still sells and it's still popular. It comes in a bunch of different colors. I mean, you can go on one website or in one store and buy one thing, and immediately you have something straight from a film, and it fits everybody so well. So it was a no-brainer for me. That was kind of dipping your toes in the what's to come of the enormous amounts of money you're going to spend on Bond stuff.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I get completely where you're coming from as well. I mean, and that's the thing, I think once you do dip your toe into this world, it hooks you in, but not just from the point of view of the actual clothing items or the watches or what have you. It's buying into those brands and
Right.
what they stand for in general and the items that they produce outside of their Bond lineups. So, for example, Oliver Brown, we know and love. I know you've got items of theirs, and I'm
Looks like you
actually
may have one or two.
yeah, one or two. I'm actually wearing. This is the very first thing I ever got from Oliver Brown, and it's from their 007 Heritage Collection,
Yeah.
and it's the A View to a Kill toweling jacket, kind of the homage piece to the one that Sir Roger Moore wore. But again, my introduction to Oliver Brown as a brand, it was probably one of David's videos at the time where he was doing an unboxing or a review of their items. But it starts out so simply. You think, oh, get one jacket, give that a go.
Right.
You get that. Then you look at their website and they've got so much more to offer, not just Bond items, but their wider selection. Obviously, Oliver Brown being more, I think it's fair to say, kind of leisure / holiday type wear that you'd get for wearing on your holidays or by the beach and the pool and things like this.
Luxury resort wear, they call it.
Luxury resort wear.
They have to be the only brand in the world with that term.
Absolutely. And they do it so well as well. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, they've really kind of taken that baton and run ahead with it of doing that luxury resort wear, as you say. But for you, is it a case of once you're buying an item, say the Sunspell Riviera Polo, do you then start looking further at their collections as a whole, or what is it for you that draws you in beyond the Bond items?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I definitely do that. And the thing that's funny, as I started to do that review on that Orlebar Brown Marne pajama top, I think I say in the video, like, something like, yeah, this is only my second Orlebar Brown piece. And then I realized I was like, no, I've got like 10 different things. So I have sandals, 2 different t-shirts, that and a polo, and now swim trunks, but none of them are from Bond except for the t-shirt, the gray
Wow.
t-shirt.
Yeah.
And I mean, I had something from that heritage collection, didn't fit right, and then I sent it back. And then at the time I was like, well, I'm actually going to Florida in a couple of weeks. I'll go down to the Palm Beach store, and then realized how far that was from where I was staying, and then just never went around to it. But that's, I think, the beauty of these brands is, you know, a couple times the other day I was telling people about Vegas, and I was telling them about the different brands and the different things that we talk about and wear. And aside from like Tom Ford and Omega, most of them are not household names, at least here in the US. But because of Bond, I've discovered them. And then after that, I'm like, well, you can't just, buy the commando sweater and then just call it a day, like see what else they have. So I've definitely done that. And I think I've kind of like almost got a little bit of a reputation of doing that. I've even with the Tommy Bahama, like the first one I had was navy. I've got a lot of All Saints things when you only really see it one time, and most people think it's jeans when they're really like cords. There's like all this stuff. It's, there's so many incredible brands, and if you're stopping at just the Bond stuff, then you're kind of doing yourself a disservice.
Yeah, yeah. And that's the thing. It's so diverse. It's I think it's not just buying a Bond item of clothing, but it's like buying into that mindset of, well, this is where Bond bought his clothes. So let's have a look at what else they've got. And then that, as soon as you start to do that, it gets very dangerous, because there are, as you say, so many great items from all these different companies and their ranges.
Right.
So the first time we see Oliver Brown in a Bond film is those iconic swimming shorts that we see Daniel Craig wearing in Skyfall, I believe it was, when he was swimming on the rooftop pool, wasn't it? I think.
Yeah. In Shanghai.
London. Yeah, we learn the
beautiful
magic
town
of movies.
Yeah, Shanghai, London is a gorgeous place.
It really is. It really is. So I mean, that was the first kind of introduction to Oliver Brown that I think most people had in terms of Bond connection, and they've really kind of run with it, as I say, since, like, as I say, wearing the Moonraker, A View to a Kill toweling jumper. But I think the second item that I ever purchased from them was the Dr. No inspired toweling polo. So I mean, it's kind of similar in a sense. It's different shade, different color to the Sunspell. But have you been tempted by any of these kind of toweling polos before?
Yeah, especially after being in Vegas and seeing so many of them on different people. Yeah.
So what's on your wish list? Like, if you could have, whether it's Oliver Brown, N. Peel, Tom Ford, what have you, what's kind of on your wish list?
So I would say I would like to get that Die Another Day turtleneck. I would like to get from N. Peel, and Orlebar Brown. I want, I looked at it yesterday. Which one was it? One of like the long sleeve polos. It's black.
Okay.
Is that like License to Kill or something? I can't remember what it was.
If my memory's right, is it the Thunderball one?
It might be.
Thunderball one.
So that was initially I had that blue Thunderball, like button down short sleeve. And that was the one that like medium was just too tight. And I knew large was going to be huge. So, I mean, I've been lucky with everything I've gotten ever since, but yeah, I mean, I can tell you right now, if I was in the store, it'd be a field day. But my fiance would also not let it be a field day. So I'd probably have 12 things and she'd be like, pick one. I'd be like, shit.
Well, no, I was going to say, you've got a wedding coming up. So, I mean, that would be quite dangerous, wouldn't it? Going into a store, when you've got a wedding coming up as well. And as we know, these items aren't necessarily the cheapest, but I think you get what you pay for at the end of the day. Is that fair to say, do you think?
Dude, 1,000,000%. And, I've never had an Orlebar Brown bathing suit until pre-Vegas. So Vegas, this, 2 weeks ago, or whatever it was now, a week ago, but when we're shooting this, recording this, I should say, this could come out in a year, who knows. They're like, this guy's always in Vegas. No. That was my first experience using it or wearing one, and I couldn't stop raving about, I mean, because they are very expensive. And it was one of those things where it's like, if you never needed another bathing suit, this is the one you should buy. Because I mean, just having like just the differences between that and a normal bathing suit. Like I've had bathing suits where either there is no zipper or no buckle and it's just elastic, or I've had them where it's a tie. You know, this one's, it's basically like a jean or like a trouser. It's got pockets in front, it's got a pocket for your wallet, it's got the like toggles on the side, you know, and everything's like metal. It's not like plastic or, you know, or some kind of rubber or something. And then even the zipper is metal, and then the buckle, it's, I was just like, it's, and then of course the actual material, I was like, I feel like somebody could try to like stab me in the leg with these and it wouldn't go through.
I mean, let's hope not. But I mean, that's definitely something that you touch on there, is that all these items, especially from Oliver Brown, but you know, all the brands, but they're built to last. I mean, I believe it's a 5-year guarantee that the Oliver Brown stuff,
I think so.
pretty much all of their stuff comes with, is like a 5-year guarantee. And I think in terms of brands and customer service, from my own experience, I can say hand on heart that the customer service I've had from the likes of Oliver Brown or NPL or Amiga, you know, has always been second to none. How much of that customer service experience is a draw for you when you're looking at these brands or thinking about making one of these purchases that, you know, takes a bit of thought beforehand and commitment beforehand, but how important is the customer service side of things to you?
I think it's pretty big. And you know, and I've had a little bit of experience with Oliver Brown with it, with a guy named Jason Maldonado. Shout out to him. He's kind of circulated around the Bond community on Instagram, but I think he was in the Palm Beach store and now he's in LA. But even, you know, with that shirt that I wore in Vegas that everybody said looked like a pajama top, I posted a picture of it and somebody was like, this is definitely a pajama top. And I tagged him in it. And I was like, did I say Jason? I think it's Jacob. It's either Jason or Jacob. It's Jacob. It's definitely Jacob. I tagged him in it and I was like, please correct this person. He's like, well, I mean, it is and it is. And I was like, oh, okay, whatever. But NPL is actually the one that I've had the most interaction with. I wanted to buy this bad boy here.
Oh, very nice, very nice. That's the
Spectre cable knit roll neck turtleneck. But so the reason I did this way was because I was actually, we'll just keep going right down. So I was given this one.
Okay. Yeah, the Commando.
Yep, and this one I was able to try on, and flat out say, you know, this happens to be the right size. So with the turtleneck, I called the store in Manhattan in New York and spoke with Alexa, who a lot of people in the community know because, you know, that's like the flagship store in the US it might actually be the only one, I'm not sure, but
I think it is. Yeah,
I think it is. I'm pretty sure it is. So spoke with her and I was like, you know, here's the deal. I could order this online and I'm pretty sure I know what the size is, but you know, certain things run differently. I mean, this one is like the thinnest thing ever. And then the cable or the Commando is the opposite. So I was like, she's like, well, what do you have? And then I told her I have the Commando sweater. And she said, what size do you wear? And I told her, she's like, yes, this is for the Spectre. It's this size, 100%. You can't go wrong. And you know what I mean? And then there's just like this whole thing going back and forth with, you know, what size it should be and how it would fit. And she was literally telling me like, it'll fit you like this here and this here. And how do you want it to fit? And how would you like to wear it? And it was just incredible. She was fantastic. And that is what I look for. You know, I could order this online and not having to speak with anybody. And, you know, 2-day shipping or whatever from the UK and, you know, no questions asked, but I'm impatient. So the second I push order, if it's not here in 2 days, I'm like, you know, but then it gets here and there's nothing worse than it not fitting.
Yeah.
Especially coming from the UK. Now we're
Yeah,
talking like probably 2 weeks before I have it and it fits, you
yeah.
know, so that was hands down the best experience I've had with a brand so far.
And that's also wonderful as well, because it keeps you wanting to go back, doesn't it? I
Mm-hmm.
think, you know, when you get a good customer service experience, it builds on that. It starts and then builds a relationship, and means that you do want to
Right.
keep going back and, you know, getting more items from them, or looking at other things from their other lineups and things. But you mentioned as well how thin the Spectre roll neck is there. I mean,
Yep.
how soft is that sweater? I mean, I put one of those
Unbelievable.
on, and it's unlike all of NPL's items, unlike anything I've worn before when it comes to sweaters. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so soft, it's ridiculous.
It's unbelievable. I mean, and that's the thing. Their clothing is just absurd. It's absurd. You know, and that's why they're in these films, and that's why they have so many products in these films, is nobody does it better.
Very good, very good.
But you know, and like you said, it keeps you wanting to come back to the brand. But now it's like I want to actually go to New York and see Alexa in person and work with her and see what else they have. You know, I was like, you know, I don't know if they work on commission. I don't know how it works, but she's earned my business, you know. So even still, there can be something like, say, you know, I'm on the website and it says right there, like the Die Another Day turtleneck and the Spectre turtleneck are basically the same thing, just different colors. I don't need to call and order. I can just order it, but I will call her and I'll say, hey, do you have this in? Even if she doesn't, she can say, I don't have it, but when I get it, I can, you know, yeah, you know, and it is so soft. I know
It
I kind of
is.
got off
It
track
really
there,
is.
but I was, as you were saying it, I kind of had it in my hand. I was just kind of going like
Just
this, but really
rubbing the
low,
corner.
like
Yeah.
a girlfriend under the table. You know, it's like, yeah,
Well,
holding
hopefully,
hands,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
holding hands. Not, I wasn't talking about
Anything
something
else?
else.
No.
No.
So, I mean, you've got a couple of items there. Do you maybe want to run us through what were the standout items that you've managed to get your hands on over the years, that are kind of your personal favorites?
Yeah. So those two, the Spectre NPL and the No Time to Die Commando sweater, and then I also grabbed this one here, which is, if this is another one similar to the Sunspell. If you don't have it, you should, because the price, you just can't beat it. The Tommy Bahama, I mean, it's 100% silk, and it's like
Wow.
$130 or something, and it just
Yeah.
fits so well. And the thing about this, which is interesting, is this is like a small, and when I ordered a medium, which is my normal size, it was huge, and I
Yeah.
ended up getting it tailored.
So
So
is this the shirt from No Time to
this is
Die,
the Jamaica.
the Jamaica, like he's off to the nightclub is and
Yes,
meets
yes, yep. So
okay.
yeah, when
Yeah, I
he's
don't have
wearing
one of
this
them.
in the Sperry's and Tom Ford jeans in the
Very
Voine,
nice.
yep, that's this one. So that's another one where if you're looking for something Bond under 200 US, that one in the Sunspell. I mean, the Sunspell we touched on is another one. The Connolly jacket, which I think you got hiding there somewhere.
Oh, you mean this
This little
this
ditty,
this little one from
that
the
bad boy.
Matera, the opening? Yeah, it was interesting. I rewatched rather. You did a great review of this as well. You know, when you'd actually got your hands on one of these,
Thank you.
and you asked in that video if they'd added in the 007 on the collar. So
Looks like
I
they
mean,
did,
when
huh?
I got, yeah, so this is the one. When I got this one, there wasn't any kind of
Wow.
007 or Bond branding, or even the ticket on it wasn't
Yeah.
Bond. So that was added in afterwards, which is okay. It
Yeah.
would have been great to have that on the ticket, you know, the No Time
Right.
to Die connection. But how important is it to you, like having 007 branding on items? Because I mean, as I say, I'm wearing the Oliver Brown, and there isn't really anything outwards that would indicate
Yeah.
this is a Bond. There's just a very, 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 very tiny small on the back of a label. It says 007, but it's,
Yeah.
I think David calls it those invisible Bond moments. You know,
Yeah.
how
That's
important
what
is
I
that
would
to you?
prefer. That's what
Yeah,
I would prefer. I, you know, if it gets to the point where I think there's 3 different degrees of Bond fashion. So there's strictly sartorial, then there's the invisible moments, then there's just like cosplay.
Yeah.
And like maybe a fourth, cosplay being the third, and then the fourth is just like, the logo is just plastered everywhere. I talked to Lorenzo about this a lot because his first ever Omega, his father bought him, his late father. So I know it's very, very special to him,
Wow.
but it does have the 007 logo. It's one of the 007 edition watches, where even the new watch, the No Time to Die watch, it's on there, but it's so subtle. And with some of the other editions, like the whole face has like 1,000 of them on there, and when the light hits, and don't get me wrong, they're still gorgeous, but I think if it were, like the Adidas line, it's just like, and David reviewed that and definitely lampooned that, which was funny. But that's one where it's like they have certain things where on its own you're like, okay, this isn't bad, and then you go, once you put the logo on there, because like one of them's got 007 and then like the Spectre, and you're just like, now you kind of look like you're playing for like a football team, or or like you're a pro golfer or something, where they've got all these logos. It just doesn't work. And something like what you have on, or especially the Connolly jacket, the Connolly jacket is very, very expensive. So that one, mine in particular, has just 007, very similar to the Orlebar Brown pieces, just on the collar or in the tag. But when it came in the mail, the dust bag it came in didn't have anything 007 on it, which I think I prefer, but even still, that would have been okay. But there was like a 007 tag on it. There was a 007 like kind of like postcard, things like that are great, but I don't want to spend $700 on a, like on a handmade, linen jacket, and then it's got like the logo here. It's just, you can't do that. I would hate it. And same with Orlebar Brown stuff, because some of it isn't as expensive as something like that. What comes to mind is those swim trunks that kind of have like scenes from the films on it.
Yes. Yeah. The prints. Yeah.
As nice as they are, I don't think I could ever pull one of those off. I'd rather it be subtle,
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I think when you've got all the overt branding like that, you're not really, it's not the, I don't know what it is. It's not Bond lifestyle. It's not, it is a lifestyle choice, but I don't know what you'd sum it up as.
I mean, like, you hit the nail on the head. It's not the lifestyle. It's like, I think one of the brand, or one of the franchises finally starting to try to do this is Star Wars. So up until probably the last couple years, anything Star Wars just said Star Wars on it, or had a Millennium Falcon or a TIE Fighter, whatever. Now, having just been in Disney, they're selling clothes that are just trying to look like something you may see in Star Wars, but it doesn't actually say Star Wars on it. Literally like a jacket, and it's just kind of, and it's not like, clearly from a galaxy far away, but at the same time, you could kind of see like, oh, like that kind of has some nods to Star Wars, or to Han Solo, or to this character, but it doesn't say like Han Solo on it, which most of the stuff used to, and I think that's the difference between like trying to live like a lifestyle, or just representing a franchise, and just like screaming Star Wars or Bond. I can't even think, you said it right. The right way to do it is the lifestyle, but the other way with all the branding, I can't think of like how to label that.
No, I know it's like you're a walking billboard, isn't it? At the end of the day, it's kind of very over, in your face, very brash. And I can't think of any, as you're saying that about the Star Wars kind of stuff, I can't think of any other franchise, whether that's film or television, where there has been these offshoots of collaborations with different brands, like high-end brands, granted, but different brands that kind of then builds up around its fan base, like it has done with Bond, And as you say, in terms of the Amigas, the watches, certainly the last two, for Spectre and No Time to Die, I would say I was much more of a fan of those particular watches than the other Bond branded ones, because the other ones, as you said, you know, there's always something on the face, whether that's the 007 or the gun barrel is on the dial, or
Right.
you know, his coat of arms or what have you. Whereas at least with the Spectre watch and the No Time to Die, yes, there was the 007 logo on there, but it's on the back of the watch, so you'd never see
Right.
it anyway.
Right.
So that's, yeah, it's interesting finding that balance as well between something that's very overt and in your face. I
Yeah.
think the only item that is perhaps, you could say, is perhaps overt without saying anything outwardly is that commando sweater, and
Right.
purely from the point of view of that neckline is so distinctive.
Loud. Yeah.
It's loud without being loud, if that makes
Right.
sense. You know what I mean? It very much kind of walks that tightrope of cosplay.
Oh yeah, 100%. And you know, and I've seen people wear the full outfit, you
Oh,
know, and
really?
yeah, but like I've, you know, and not like in a mean way, but I've seen people go see the film in the full outfit. So like if I'm leaving after watching the end of No Time to Die, in which he spends 45 minutes in this sweater, and then I'm like walking out and I see somebody wearing the whole thing, I'm sitting there thinking like, this is kind of like a Star Wars-y kind of cosplay moment here, which with Bond, I mean, I think you're right. You know, anybody puts a tuxedo on, people immediately start calling him James Bond. And
Yeah.
that's just 60 years of you know,
Conditioning.
right. But something like that, I can't picture another outfit he's ever worn where somebody outside the Bond community could be like, that's like a cosplay thing, you know,
Yeah.
except for like Gather All 2 in David's Town, where we were rolling up and you just saw a bunch of RGT jackets. But
Right.
even still, you know, now it's like in that new Ryan Reynolds movie, he's wearing one. And I think Chris Evans wore one at some point in time. The RGT jacket's kind of been around for a little bit, but yeah, aside that whole commando outfit, you're once again, you are spot on. That is the closest thing to a Bond cosplay I think you can get.
Yeah. I mean, I will hold my hand up and say that, you know, I was very fortunate. MPL, through building up the relationship with them, invited me to the advanced screening that they had of the film. And on their invite, it says, wear cashmere. So I just got that. I just got that sweater. It was the only one really I had of theirs at the time. So I did
Right.
wear the sweater, not the whole outfit,
Which is
just the
totally
sweater.
fine. Yeah.
To watch the film. And you know, it was great meeting Adam, the owner of the company, and stuff like that, and just to congratulate them on everything that they'd done. But as you say, I think to wear the whole outfit, so you got the sweater, the braces, the trousers, or the pants, I think as you guys call it, the pants, and even the rag and bone, is perhaps a step too far. You know, that really is, if you're going to Comic-Con, fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if James Bond had a place at Comic-Con, that would be the outfit, 100%, or a tuxedo. But at the same time, it's like, you know, funny story, after Lorenzo's wedding, David, Kyle, Rayner, and I and our significant others are sitting in the casino, and this unbelievably drunk and most likely high guy comes up to us, and he's like spewing all this nonsense. And then he must have been somebody important though, because the casino manager was like escorting him around wherever he wanted to go.
Okay.
And he was in like kind of like a motorized scooter, and so he was kind of like guiding him throughout the casino. But he starts talking, and he's
It wasn't
Scottish.
me. It wasn't
was
me.
not you. It was
No.
not. This guy was probably 70.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
the casino manager starts talking. He's Scottish, and he says something. He's like, "Look at this table. You guys all look like James Bond." And then he looks at the guy. He's like, "I wouldn't screw with these guys. They all look like a bunch of James Bonds." And I'm sitting there thinking, if you only knew
Yeah.
what you were saying and who you were talking to right now. But it's like you just associate a tuxedo with James Bond. I mean, there's even an episode of Friends where Chandler and Monica are getting married, and they happen to get all their tuxedos from some place in New York, and Chandler wears Bond's tuxedo and Ross is wearing Batman's tuxedo, Val Kilmer or something. But it's like, that's just what it is. But, you know, if you're going to see a movie and you're wearing a commando sweater and the rag and bone, the end peel trousers, and then like the boots. Like the boots is the big thing. Like you're
Yeah,
comfortable in that right now for 3
yeah,
hours? I
yeah.
don't know, man. More power to you. Definitely not knocking it. But and then like you said, when you went and saw it and wore it, I mean, it's an expensive sweater. You should wear it, especially when they're asking you to.
Well, that's the thing with MPL, Oliver Brown, Amigas, whatever it is that you get. I think you can't just get these items, whether it's clothes or whatever, and just have them in the cupboard and
No,
not wear them. They've
no.
got to be worn, whether it's a watch, shoes, whatever. You've got to wear it, and as long as you're comfortable, all power to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's fascinating as well what you say about like the RGT jacket now is being seen in other things, and other celebrities are wearing it. So it's interesting as well how you can see the influence of Bond is kind of bleeding out into other cinema and mainstream.
Right.
But let me ask you this kind of question. Like, it's definitely, to me, it feels like Daniel Craig brought a lot of his own style and influences to the films, especially in, I would say, the last 2 or 3 films. It certainly feels like, I think, as perhaps he had more input, he was able to bring more of his own style. And we've seen, like, he's recently been doing a play on Broadway, I believe, and like you see these shots, Macbeth, that's the one, and you see him kind of entering and leaving the theatre, and he's wearing the Massimo Alba duster jacket, or a Henley from Rag and Bone and things like this. So there's clearly an influence there. What are kind of the highs and lows, in your opinion, of the Daniel Craig tenure in terms of some of those choices?
Good question. Well, I'd say the low is the price with a lot of it, but
that's a great answer. That's a really great answer.
It's somebody said the other day something about how could a spy afford these things, but you got to remember he's probably got money from his parents, and you know what, at the same time it's a movie, and he's supposed to be this luxurious spy, and at the same time it's like, he, aside from his clothing and the cars and the watches, which the watches are given to him and the cars mostly are too, it's like, what else does he have to spend his money on? He's always, on a mission or doing something. So why not dress the part? But you can't go into it hoping that everything's affordable, as annoying as that sounds, because it's not supposed to be. But there's a difference between like a $3,000 Brioni suit and then like an $8,000 Tom Ford suit, or Daniel Craig wears a lot of Brunello Cucinelli, a lot, and that's also like a very, very, like, that's Tom Ford or above prices, and that's where it's kind of like you see some of these things where, like, I know a lot of people who have the duster and have either sold it or didn't get it or got it because they wanted to review it or whatever it was, and there's something about it, like, I love the way he looks when he's wearing the Rag and Bone under it, but it's just like, aside from the winter here, but then it's not like a wintry color, it's kind of like, when would I ever wear it? And that's kind of how I try to base what I buy, off of.
I agree.
Can I wear it? But I think the low is the price, and the high is just like the sheer volume of things you can buy, which might also be a low depending on how you look at it. But like I said, with the Sunspell or the Tommy Bahama, there's things out there that you can get very easily. The Tommy Bahama is a little more difficult to get, but something like the Sunspell, or even the Sunspell t-shirts or the Orla Bar Brown t-shirts, and now this whole line from Orla Bar Brown, which is truly just a blessing. Those are the extreme highs, just the sheer amount of stuff you can get now.
Yeah, I think, you hit it on the head. The variety that he brought, I think, in terms of clothing, whether it's the suits, the swimwear, or the polos, or what have you, the sweaters. There's such a variety. And I was having a conversation. I was a guest on the Selling Secrets podcast with Josh.
Love Josh.
Who that guy. He's great. And he was, I was saying that the thing that I like about it as well is that you take two brands, for example, or three brands: Sunspell, Oliver Brown, and Peel.
Yeah.
Between those three brands alone, you've got an entire year's worth of clothing. You know, spring,
Oh, you can
summer,
cover your
winter.
whole wardrobe could be based off those three.
Exactly, and that's
Nice.
what's
Good
great.
point. Good point.
The variety that it brings. He also asked me, what's the one thing that I would like to add to my collection, if there's sartorial piece or what have you, something that I don't own. And I think I said, if money was no object, I think I'd probably say the only thing that I feel like is missing is something like a Tom Ford suit.
Right.
But the price is, that's when you go into a whole different league. And I know you can spend $5,000 or $10,000 on a watch, but a watch you're always going to be able to wear. Whereas a Tom Ford suit, for example, especially the past couple of years with lockdown, unless you're staying the exact same size and shape, you're gonna do you know what I mean? You're gonna struggle to get the most out of that suit.
Right.
But yeah, the variety that Daniel Craig certainly brought, I think, to the franchise and to the looks, Rag and Bone especially. I've got one of their Henleys, and I think if anyone doesn't have a Rag and Bone Henley, they're really well worth looking
That's another
out for.
one. That's another one that's well priced that you should have. That's a great
and
point.
they also have those in sale sometimes as well, so it's always worth keeping an eye out.
And different colors. That's something that the Sunspell and the Rag and Bone. It's like you want a piece of Bond, but you don't want navy polo or a white. White is a very scary color for a lot of people.
Yeah.
For a very good reason. They've got it in gray and black and all kinds of different things. So yeah, I mean, and that's what's funny. It's always with this Ryan Reynolds. I keep seeing, he's a very big Rag and Bone guy. Like, he has said many times that their chinos are like his favorite, and he's always wearing those trousers all the time. So there's a connection there too. I think it just kind of shows how many people are Bond fans and how they influence their style off of Bond.
Absolutely. So I mean, we'll start wrapping things up, because I don't want to, obviously it's very early for a Friday for you there. I don't want to keep you too long, but
no problem.
Just looking ahead to the future, what are your hopes? Obviously none of us know who the next Bond is going to be or when the next Bond is going to be. There's been comments recently that suggest it could be quite a while that we'll be waiting, so who knows. But looking ahead, what kind of things are you hopeful for in the next actor bringing to the party, or the styles moving forward? What kind of things would you like to see as well?
So much to my dismay, I've just got a overwhelmingly strong feeling it'll be Henry Cavill. And not that I don't like him, but it's difficult to emulate him because he's so massive. Like, I think Donnie Waldron is the only person that could fit into the same clothes he wears. So Donnie will probably be jumping for joy, and he'll be like, I can buy any of this and look just like him. But my issue with that is, I've seen him on talk shows and I've seen him do all these things, and he just looks wide and just huge. And it's so, I hope if he gets it, I hope he slims way down. So that's my first hope. I hope he slims down and just kind of gets a little more realistic in size. He's not Superman anymore. He's just James Bond. James Bond likes his alcohol and he likes his food. So he's not just, smash. Yeah. But sorry for
that's fine.
But so I hope if whoever it is, I hope that they maintain this sartorial explosion, because the other issue, my biggest regret is I didn't really get into it until No Time to Die. I mean, almost half the things behind me are, there's Blackwell Run, there's No Time to Die vinyl, there's the Aston Martin, there's a lot of No Time to Die stuff here. I mean, there's some other things, but I wish that I had gotten involved and gotten the Skyfall Barber jacket when it was, I mean, it's easy to get now, but there's so many variations, there's all these different things, but I just hope that they continue. I feel like Amazon will kind of make them continue. I think that's a huge thing. They're kind of showing that they're going to be heavy-handed, which may or may not be a good thing, but I don't know. I mean, that was my fear when I came out of No Time to Die. and that was the end of a lot of different things. I was like, you know, I'm just now getting involved in the sartorial piece and the content creator side. Like it has to keep going up. If it
Yeah.
stalls or goes down, I'd be really, you know, that was truly like, I think probably the reason I was the most sad was because, you know, it was just like really launching. So I just hope it continues that way in every way.
Yeah. No, it's yeah, I completely agree with everything you've just said there.
What
And
about
I
you?
too. Well,
Yeah. What
yeah,
about you?
I completely agree. I hope that there are more kind of collaborations with these great brands, whether it's the same NP or Oliver Brown, but bringing more kind of similar caliber brands to the
Yeah.
consciousness of all of us. You know, um, there was a great, I forget the name of the brand now, but it was the company that did the uh, the carry case for the tuxedo in No Time to Die.
Oh yeah. I
Um,
can't remember the name of that one, but yeah, I definitely know that.
um,
I know what you're talking
you
about.
you know who I mean. I think I've got them on here somewhere. Um, it was Bennett and Winch. Bennett
Yes.
Winch.
Yep.
So Bennett Winch, you know, they're another great brand. I'd love to get one of their cases one day. You know, especially I've got a wedding I'm going to next week, but I've only got like a bog standard carrier for my suit. But to go with one of their cases would have been amazing. But anyway, that's another story. I'd love to see them carry on the tradition of bringing in new brands, unknown brands that, you know, are really cool, have a good history and a good ethos. That
Yeah.
would be great. Something brands that perhaps, I'm not saying cheap, but something that's more accessible to more people. I think
Yeah.
that's one thing I've noticed.
Accessible is a
Certainly,
good word. Yeah.
yeah,
It's a good
certainly
word.
that's especially on like the 007 store. A lot of the stuff that they keep coming out with, it's just the prices are mind blowing, and it's
Yeah.
like I get that it's exclusive, but to have a bit more variety would be great
Mhm.
as well. But again, like you as well, I wish I'd got into this whole sartorial element years ago. Like
Yeah.
that, my first dabble into kind of Bond items would have been the Spectre
Which is a
watch. I mean,
fantastic, but
yeah,
it's all
you go big or
downhill
go
from
home.
there. I know.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I wish I kind of been able to get into it a lot more back then. So 2015, you know, I know
Right.
David was doing videos then, and that's roughly the same time that I kind of came across his channel and started watching. But you know, I was in a different stage of my life then. You know, money was different back then as well. So um, yeah, there's definitely missed opportunities, I think. But as we said
Yeah.
earlier, it's only in the last, what, 3 or 4 films, really, since the Casino, that there's been more of a focus on what's he wearing in the films, where you can get it, special
Right.
collections and things like that, you know. So
Well,
um,
you know, like you said, the accessibility, that's the perfect word, because that Sunspell polo is the definition of accessibility. And
yeah,
to bring up Mr. Kyle Barbeau again, he and I were talking yesterday, and he sent me this video of, once again, Ryan Reynolds, and he was making a cocktail, and he
okay,
was wearing this like orange polo. It kind of had white piping on the collar and then on the pocket. And Kyle's like, and I love that shirt. And I was like, well, I need to find out what it is for Kyle. So we both started hunting it down. We found out who it was. It was a brand called oh man, now I'm gonna butcher it. I'm not even gonna try. If I think of it while I'm telling the story, I'll blurt it out. But the brand I had never heard of, and it is a, you know, it's like a $400 polo, but it's from like spring 2021, which at this point is a year ago,
yeah,
and you cannot find it on eBay. You can't find it on their website. You can't find it even just Googling like the name of the brand, you know, orange polo. You see every other type of orange polo. It's physically impossible to find it. Like the only way I think you could ever find it is by like going to their store, if they even have one. I
yeah,
think they may in New York, and asking like, what are the chances you have one of these in bed? You know what I mean? And it's like
yeah,
that you need to be able to get these things, you know,
yeah,
because especially a brand like that, maybe they don't have any reason to keep it, but that's the accessibility right there. You know, that's
absolutely.
a big problem.
Yeah, no. Well, it's going to be exciting to see whatever comes along next. We keep our eyes and ears open. I think we're probably in for some great items coming up this year, 60th anniversary, fingers crossed. I've no inside knowledge. David might know some rumors, but I know nothing. I'm excited to see it. But look, we've got about a minute left, I think, on this. So I'm just going to say a massive thank you, Luke, for joining this stream today and being a guest on the channel. I'll put your links in the description below. But yeah, Luke, thank you very much for joining us, and it would be great to have you back sometime.
Anytime. I'll see you tomorrow. We'll do it again.
Can't wait.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks, guys.
So that's it. A massive thank you once again to Luke from Bond's Apartment. I'll put links to his social media in the description below. It was great fun to have him as a guest on the channel. I hope you've enjoyed the video as much as we did recording it. And if you did, please do consider giving it a thumbs up. Subscribing to the channel also helps. And also you can click the bell notification button so you get a notice whenever I post something new. Until the next time though, do stay safe, healthy and well, and I'll talk to you all very soon. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.